Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach. Today I'm joined once again by Coach Corey Brownsberger, assistant coach for the Jackson basketball team. Coach, thank you for joining me.
Appreciate you having me, Caleb. Always enjoy getting to talk about Jackson athletics, especially Jackson basketball. Really is getting close.
Yeah. I know you wake up in the morning, it's, in the 40s and the 50s. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, oh, yeah, it's football weather here in late October. I'm like, actually, I think it's about time to go inside. Mm-hmm. Hear the balls bouncing, hear the shoes squeaking. It's more my speed, I know, for sure. So, excited to get you back on here. Get ready for basketball season. Like I said, at time of recording, it is still, the last week of the football season, but getting these in here early, a little bit before you guys start practicing here in the fall as well. So, I know you're excited probably to get the season going.
Oh, yeah. And, somebody asks me all the time, this will be year 12, do I still get nervous? Do I still get excited before games? And the answer is always yes. Like, if that goes away, it's probably when I need to retire. Right. So every new season, it brings new challenges, new excitement. And so I'm ready to get this thing tipped off and see where we can take this group this year.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll look back a little bit before we start looking forward, talk about, what you guys have done. I talked to you after last season. Yeah. Talking about, we went in depth talking about the entire year and everything. So since then, I know you guys have, took time off and then get into summer. You'll start doing tournaments, start doing workouts, start doing skill development stuff. So, summer schedule wise, tournaments, we'll start there. Where all did you guys go? Just what was that experience like this summer?
So we had a really good summer. I thought it was, we answered a lot of questions of maybe where kids would fit in, stylistically, what we could do this year, maybe that differed from a few of our previous seasons. But we went to Rolla, played some good competition out there, played a team out of Kansas. Okay. That is one of the, I believe, several people told us they would be in class 4 or 5 in Kansas, that they would be in the top 5 and beat them twice out at Rolla. Again, saw really good competition. Teams we normally wouldn't see, whether it be St. James, Newburgh, things of that nature. So that was really good, and especially with a young group that we have, taking them away, getting a little bonding experience, go out to eat with each other, hang out away from the basketball floor, was really good. We also played at the Rib City shootout and also hosted our own shootout, as well as going back up to Ladue this summer. So those were our 4 shootouts. Saw a lot of good things, saw some things that we obviously needed to work on, and then mixed those shootouts in with individual work and strength training back here at Jackson. But really some cool experiences, one of which while we hosted our shootout, we had a couple teams drop out late. Yeah. So ended up having an alumni team of some former athletes come in and throw the uniforms on.
Just let them come in and beat up on the kids. I was there for that a little bit. So yeah,
they can still play. So but no, here's the biggest thing with summer basketball. Yeah, we want to win the games we play, but we want to develop. Maybe it's a different style that we played in the past. Continue to build on those individual attributes of each student, whether it's working on somebody that maybe was viewed as a weakness, or just keep hitting on the things that we know were strengths for those kids. So we saw what we needed to this summer, and I know along with Coach Toma, very pleased.
Yeah, that's always what I like asking about, or what I like reminding people about sometimes is. Summer, these tournaments, or, if it's AAU basketball, whatever it might be for a kid, it's, you try to balance, you want to win, like you said, and get results, because you don't want to just keep getting beat down, losing, and stuff like that. Obviously helps confidence, but at the same time, it's mostly about improvement, education, like you said, in the system that you guys are trying to run. Like I said, trying to keep that at the forefront, really, ahead of just necessarily like, what was the score at the end of the game? How many points did such and such have? Just what did they do better? Do they start fitting into, like you said, those roles that they're learning about?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that obviously from day one that Coach Toma took over, we've always wanted to talk about our culture. And obviously the expectation is to win no matter what the game is. It could be ping pong. We want to win at it. But there needs to be a process behind it. And I think that we never lose sight of that. So, again, definitely the cool thing, we saw a lot of different styles, whether it be a team that was a little bit more methodical, a team that was going to run all over the place, trap you, spread you out. We saw teams with really good bigs. We saw teams with really good guards. So just seeing how offensively things that we would do against various styles, and then also defensively how we could kind of morph based on what we were going against. Again, it was a very, very productive summer for us.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And so, that's kind of what you did away from home sometimes. But, people, like you said, look at skill development. You want to get in the gym, shoot, stuff like that. But one important aspect, I think, in all sports is, kids hitting weight room and doing different, whatever that is, the exercises, the training for your individual sport, whatever it might be. But I think that is a big impact. I've seen other coaches talk about it. I had Dave Murley in here a few months ago. He said that was the biggest difference in his program was when his girls started getting in the weight room. They, just get it limited injuries and just, like you said, gave them more confidence in their physical ability, things like that. So are there guys that you've seen, have you seen that over the summer or since last season? There's guys that are like, hey, this kid's stronger now. He's like, it gives you confidence to go in the lane, things like that.
Yeah, I think program-wide we've seen improvement, and that's something that's been important to us since day one that we took over, was the strength and conditioning in the weight room, and really, Coach McDowell really got us going in there year one and has continued that. Obviously, he's away with football right now, but the kids know it's important to us. They get in there and work hard, and it just like Coach Murley told you earlier, knock on wood, we haven't had really any major injuries, and I think a lot of that has to do with our kids bigger, stronger, faster. They get in Coach Nesbitt's strength and conditioning program,
and we see how how well that works over on the football
100%
gridiron right now.
Hey, here's the deal. Coach Thomas was just talking about this the other day. The coaches we have at Jackson right now, program wide. The kids as a whole, the kid as an individual is the most important thing to them. It doesn't matter if he's in football, right? Like Coach Nesbitt has promoted dual sport kids since he's got here. He's worked well with us on the basketball side. We really appreciate that. But all of our coaches, whether it be baseball, football, Coach Murley with volleyball, Coach Fulton on the girls' side of basketball, they want these kids to get out and experience multi-sports. There's less burnout that way. There's less risk for injury because you're working different muscle groups. So learning from a guy like Coach Nesbitt, seeing how our kids get stronger in his class at school has been awesome for us. But you had talked about as individuals, I mean, a guy that jumps out, John Ernst, people are going to see him as a sophomore this year, and he's not built like his brother, but you can definitely tell the kid has filled out. He's gotten stronger in the weight room. Oliver Drum, who will be a sophomore, you can definitely tell has started to grow into his body. But some older guys, whether it be Will Thomas as a senior, Ty Forrest has really had a good summer both on the floor and in the weight room. But I would just say program-wide, we have kids that have really developed and dedicated in the weight room, and it's shown with their strength and how they can use that on the basketball floor, and I think that's going to pay dividends for them going forward.
Yeah, for sure, especially, SEMO Conference, very physical, very tough league, Class 6 in basketball, the people you'll see, the Webster Groves of the world, I mean, the Seckmans of the world, very physical teams that you guys play against pretty consistently. So, yeah, I mean, that's a huge X factor in the program, I think.
Yeah, and Coach has talked about it since we got here of we have to develop what our X factor is, what is going to set us aside from some of these different schools that we play in the SEMO Conference in districts. And we may not be able to ever just straight up out quick everybody we play. Yeah. But by our physical toughness, mental toughness, being able to battle through some different stuff, and I think that can be attributed back to the weight room. Right. So, yeah, it's been huge for us.
Yeah, so then, weight room, you move into skill development, I know, throughout the summer, things like that. What does that look like for you guys, maybe as a program? Like, what is like things you implement? You don't have to give away all the secret sauce here, but like what is there any special thing you look forward in particular, or things you try to push in particular, or is it just kind of just doing the full gambit of basketball skills throughout the summer for all the kids?
Mm-hmm. So we cover like you just said, we cover the whole gambit, whether it be shooting, dribbling, passing, defense, team-oriented stuff. But I think each year that we've been here, we've kind of sat back and tried to see what was successful for us, what wasn't in the previous year, and then look at what we have going forward from a personnel standpoint, and maybe do we need to adjust some things. And I think that people will look at this group this year, and this is probably the first group that we've had since we've been here where we don't have the quote-unquote traditional post player. I mean, Again, John's 6'8".
Yeah, you have a kid that people – there's going to be a lot of people yelling. I want you to know this just in January 20th that, hey, get in the post.
And look, here's the thing. We're basketball coaches are probably not as smart as they want to lead on, but we're also probably not as dumb as people like to think. So there will be times, yes, where based on mismatches, John will be at the block, but we also don't want to take away from all the other skills that he has. So one of the things we looked at doing this summer is kind of changing how we play offensively a little bit, opening it up a little bit, spreading the floor, being able to be a little bit more read and react. So we actually got in contact with some different coaches, both collegiately and high school level, that have implemented some of these styles and got some tape and got some video. And so a lot of our skill work was based off of that offensive philosophy.
Yeah, and this team, I guess, personnel-wise, it reminds me more of that year one team you guys had. It was different in the fact that that team had like 3 true point guards and kids that had that mindset. But this team is, like you said, a lot more guards. They have the ability to get up and down a lot more. Like with a guy like John there in the post, it reminds me of Clayton could get up and down, but when you brought in Gavin, just how fast that team could play and how much pressure they could put on people.
Obviously, only time will tell, but our goal, our plan as of right now is we want to play. I think we'll play faster than what we did last year, based on, again, like you said, the personnel that we have. Defensively, we'll pick up the tempo a little bit more because, again, we have more guards that we can roll in and not lose a lot with there. And I think this will be a really, really fun group to watch. There's no ego with this group at all. They're incredibly coachable. They've been really, really fun to be around, even on days where we have to make some adjustments or do some correctable things. They're ultra fun to be around, and I think this will be a group that when we're all said and done, we're really, really proud of.
Yeah. And when it comes to, kids getting better and, expanding their game, things like that. I mean, I know a lot of kids play on, you mentioned earlier how you guys have a lot of multi-sport athletes. I know you have that going on. You have, Jory and Blaine, a bunch of guys play football that are really, really good at football. And then, guys are doing AAU stuff. They have individual teams, or some guys, have individual trainers now. So I know that which is an improvement in some ways, I think, from even when I was in high school. A lot of those opportunities weren't really as round as much. But, what is it, or, how do you grow that? Like you said, part of, I assume, the culture, things like that people use. But how do you kind of grow that mentality of kids to, work on their game year round? You want them to be kids and do other things and have fun, but you are also the basketball coach. So I know you would like them to get better at basketball the next year you see them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's cliche, but it's something as simple as we have our youth camp, and talking to those guys all the time in youth camp about, you see, because, like, for an example, this year at youth camp, I'd say we had probably between 18 to 20 of our high school guys at every session helping with those young campers. And cool. So we talk to them every day about, this could be you guys one day. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to have a ball in your hands. You got to continue to work. But by them seeing that, I think they see that goal is obtainable. And yeah, we want them to have an enjoyable experience. Are we going to correct them? Are we going to coach them? Yes, and we coach them hard, program wide. But I think to a person, I think people can say that they had an enjoyable experience with us, and it was fun. And by doing that, I think that only fosters to have the basketball in your hands more and want to get better and be a part of this program.
And you said, guys having no ego, it also plays into, you're playing for each other. You care about each other. I can see it, a lot of times guys in your program, they're just like hanging out, but they seem like they enjoy being around each other, enjoy playing basketball together. And that also pushes it too. You don't want to just fall off from the rest of your friends, basically, too, and things like that. You want to, keep up and play for each other, get better for each other, and all that, which I do appreciate, like you said, seeing in your guys' program. It feels like, like you said, the egos are kind of pushed to the side a lot of times, and they do end up fighting for that, ultimate goal and having things point the right direction.
Yeah, and I think too many times, whether it's basketball or any other sport, too many cliches. Everybody wants a slogan. Everybody wants something on the back of their T-shirt. But the thing we've said for 4 years is we have one goal, and we're all in all the time.
Yeah.
And that means that if these kids come to us and they need something unbasketball related, our coaching staff is all in all the time for that. If that means going and hanging out with each other, we have countless nights throughout the summer, throughout the year, where they'll go and get dinners together or go and just hang out. And, I mean, again, you played athletics in high school, so did I. That only makes you want to go the extra mile when you feel like the kid playing next to you truly cares about you.
Right.
And so I think that's huge for our program and what we're all about.
Yeah, exactly. So the last thing, as far as coming into the year, going or throughout the summer, you have a lot of guys that moved on from last year's team. You had a big senior class again. So that inherently gives people that carrot on the end of the stick of, hey, if I make this leap, if I do X, Y, or Z to become a better basketball player, I might be the one getting those, those minutes and things like that this upcoming year. That's a big part of it, I think, like having confidence in the opportunity that's there in front of kids. So are there anybody in particular, or is there just, probably as a group as a whole, that feels like those guys have seen like, hey, this is a chance I have to get more playing time this year, and I'm going to elevate, the way I work and things like that over the summer?
I think every year you kind of, kids are intelligent. They see this kid graduated. That's kind of the spot that I'm in. If I have a really good summer, if I have good preseason, so on and so forth, that good things can happen for me. But, we talked about, Coach Toma and myself went to junior high tryouts last night, and one of the things we talked about with them is, look, this is the first year that you guys will have where cuts are a thing.
Yeah.
But if this is important to you, no one says this has to be the end of the road. A prime example of that is a kid that'll be a senior for us this year, Ty Forrest, who got cut in junior high and continued to work, continued to get better because it was important to him. Fast forward, makes the team as a freshman, plays a little bit as a sophomore, plays some varsity last year as a junior, got a lot of minutes with me on the JV. Right. But, again, continued to work, continue to get stronger in the weight room, and had a really good summer and has had an even better preseason so far. And he's a guy that we could see starting playing a lot for us going into a senior year. So that's a testament to all those kids in the Jackson basketball program. If you continue to work hard, good things can happen for you. But, Ty, Will Thomas, who was a kid who started at the beginning of the year for us last year as a junior, kind of fell into a little bit of a role where he was kind of behind some guys. I mean, you back up a back-to-back all-state guy, your minutes can fluctuate, but a kid who never complained, did things the right way, gave us key minutes at different times. He's had a good year. We're looking for Walker Matthews to do some really nice things. You talked about that point guard lineage of, we go from Cade to Braden to Colton. It's kind of Walker's time, and he's really done some nice things. We hope that continues because he'll be a big key for us. Then obviously, people always will know about John Ernst, and the SEMO's offered him going into his sophomore year. He's had a really nice summer. Incredibly unselfish kid. There'll be times where we have to tell John, like, it's okay to go try and get a bucket here. And a great kid to coach. I mean, he's ultra coachable, whether you're on him, whether you're palling around with him. Right. But, those kids, Oliver Drum has done some nice things. Obviously, he's playing soccer right now, but what we saw this summer, Jory Toma, I talk about it with Coach Herman, with football, Coach Nesbitt. Kid's just a dog.
Yeah.
He's got an unbelievable motor. He doesn't know anything other than playing hard, and I hope he never learns because he's going to be a dude, and we know we'll have big things out of him. But kids like Blaine Reagan, who is going to fit really nicely into this style that we want to play both offensively and defensively. And then, honestly, a kid, Britt Crowden, who will be a junior this year, really started to find himself at the end of the JV season last year. I think he had probably in the last 5 or 6 games, he probably averaged around 18 a game.
Yeah.
Shoots the ball incredibly well. So those guys have really come to the forefront a little bit, and obviously other guys have had good summers as well, and really looking forward to what they do in preseason and kind of how this thing starts to gel a little bit.
Yeah, so kind of breaking off here into, getting ready for the season. One thing that I have heard or noticed is, staff changes a little bit. There's going to be you're no longer the JV head coach.
Correct. So Coach Bonds at the end of last year decided to step away. Things with his full-time job as a police officer, and obviously he's got a young family. So he decided to step away, and we really appreciate everything that he has done for our program. And Luther's one of the best individuals you'll ever meet, both on and off the floor. But he decided to step away, so I moved up to solely the varsity assistant, focusing on a lot of the stuff I was already doing, but just specializing in that stuff on the varsity side. We hired a guy named Bryce Hawes, who's taught for a couple years here at Jackson. He was an assistant for a year at Oak Ridge, and then last year was the head coach at Oak Ridge. And I'm officially not the youngest guy on the staff anymore.
And it probably makes you feel even older because
you
coached against Bryce.
I coached against Bryce when I was at my last year at Leopold, and for the first 3 years at Meadow Heights. Bryce was in high school on some really good Oak Ridge teams. And to make things even weirder, there'll be times where we talk and he's hanging out with kids that I coached at Meadow Heights because through relationships and whatnot, they're buddies. So, I feel all of my 36 years. But no, Bryce is a great young coach. He is super energetic. I got to tell this quick story. So, obviously, with Coach McDowell being ingrained with football in the summer times and the preseason, one of the things that Bryce kind of took lead with was our weight room and some plans and stuff. And he had gotten married last year. On the summer, he went on his honeymoon with his wife, Miley. On the way back from his honeymoon, he sends me a text. Hey, can you give me our weight training program? I brought mine with me to get some work done and lost it on a layover. If that doesn't tell you that guy is dedicated to our program that soon after getting hired, I don't know what does.
I love that.
So he's going to be awesome. He's going to be the JV head coach. And then, of course, Coach McDowell will still be here as our head freshman coach. And then Coach Johnson, Rob, who is our 8th grade coach, he comes up after junior high is over and helps us with some down-the-road scouting and then in-game stuff as well. So we got a really good group of 5 guys that are very, very passionate about this program and about our kids, and really looking forward to working with them. We mesh really well together, and it's a good group to work with.
Yeah, I like Bryce a lot. Bryce is up there in the in the press box with me when I'm doing games a lot of times. So I spend a lot of time with Bryce, and I know he's really excited. We talked basketball for about 30 minutes before the Jackson football game the other day. So
he's a really, like I said, he's very energetic and very eager to get rolling, and he's done a great job with our kids. Our guys love having him there, and really looking forward to having him.
Yeah, so kind of looking into what you guys have coming up this season, cracking open the schedule. I did see they have added these games in here under Farmington.
That was actually me.
Did you do that? Good
I
job.
added those in my prep time the other day. Yep.
Thank you. I've been sitting here like, who are we playing? What are we doing? When are we doing this? Because when you're married, you have to make plans like 3 months out.
Trust me, I know.
Children, and all that.
Yep.
But yeah, so the schedule pretty similar to last year in the fact that you guys are just playing a lot of the return games from a season ago. Christmas tournament, SEMO conference tournament, obviously at the beginning of the year. But the one change is no longer going up there to Washington, Missouri around Thanksgiving time.
Yep.
No Borgia tournament. Going to be over in Farmington this year. Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you from myself and Cody. But I liked the tournament up there in Borgia. It was neat, like you said, playing teams that you don't really see. It was cool, just like the legacy of it. I know it's been around for a very, very long time. It's a neat venue as well up there in Washington, and a top tier hospitality room as well.
Oh,
always.
yeah.
So A+ hospitality room by far. Farmington tournament first week now. We do have the opponents. What kind of spurred that change, or kind of what's the backstory there for them getting that going?
So our biggest thing was it was just really, really tough on our program's families, being around the Thanksgiving holiday, constantly having to drive up there, drive back, and do that thing. We really appreciate the folks at Borgia because, like you said, it's a top-notch run tournament.
Really nice people. Everybody, everybody you're around, super nice up there.
Great people, but we wanted something a little closer to home, and Coach Toma has a really good relationship with Coach Callahan at Farmington, and they had kind of tossed this thing around. So when the opportunity came up, we jumped at it. It's a round robin, so it's us, Farmington, St. Pius, out of Festus, and then Rockwood Summit. But again, we will see really good competition. Right. Rockwood Summit's got a 6'8" kid who will be back as a senior. He's fully healthy. He was kind of battling back from a torn ACL as a sophomore. So he's in full form now. So we open the season with them. They'll be a really, really tough contest. St. Pius has been young, but played a lot this summer. Saw them a little bit this summer. They look to be improved. And then obviously Farmington will be very, very well coached and dangerous. So again, we're going to open it up with 3 really good opponents, and looking forward to get that thing rolling.
Right. And then SEMO conference, always, you know what you're going to get.
Yes.
You jump in head first into the season. Going to be tough competition. Whoever you play, whichever seed you get, it's going to be a dog fight. When do they seed that at? Do you know exactly, or around when?
I want to say with the SEMO tournament, it's always around. I want to say it's always around like the Thanksgiving time, either right before, right after Thanksgiving. And look, it doesn't matter who you play in the SEMO conference. Like you said, it's going to be a dogfight. Coach and I have talked. We've batted this around. I don't know how many times. There's maybe about 20 different combinations of where these seeds could fall.
Right.
And this year, more so than really anyone I can remember.
This is going to be an interesting one, yeah.
It's so wide open.
Yeah.
Because either some teams that maybe haven't had the most success in the world the last couple of years return a lot.
Yeah.
Or teams like maybe a Sykeston.
Yeah, graduate, entire starting five.
You got teams like, you go Notre Dame lost.
Yeah.
Basically their entire varsity
roster.
The entire varsity rotation. So it's very wide open this year, but it's gonna be like any other SEMO conference season. You're gonna have to play really good because there's some of the best coaches in the area, in the state, are in this conference, and whoever comes out of that with first place plaque is going to have earned it.
Yeah, for sure. So jumping over to, we'll look into, your guys' team this year, with the roster you got, the guys. We'll talk, touch on here, the people you're losing. It's once again, it's a lot. You're losing,
Yes.
The one that gets the headlines, obviously, Cole Deck, 24 points a game. He's over at Columbia College now. You're losing your starting point guard in Colton Toma, and then with the exception of John, you're losing the entire front court rotation, the trio of guys. I did look it up. 1,100 out of 1,640 points are heading out the door.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
From this past season, not to get you too excited or anything. But that is something, there's good and bad to it, I guess, is, how tough is it for you guys to just deal with the turnover every year? Every year it seems like it's been a big group of seniors that are very important to the program. Even like year one, you had, that guard rotation and Clayton all were seniors that year. And then you had, Blaine and Judd and Braden Toma and a bunch of guys that were all seniors that year, Gavin and Keegan Sussman. And this past year, like I said, those guys, Cole, Colton, Braden, Lee Ivy, Austin Criddle. Every year you guys are graduating, 4 or 5 guys that are in your rotation or, 4 or 5 starters, it feels like just about every year, How tough has that been, and how, I guess fun in the mystery of it at times though too as well?
Yeah, it's obviously a challenge, but it's a good thing from the standpoint of it shows the development of our program.
Right.
Of we're constantly losing kids that work themselves into a role and earn that playing time. So it shows that we're doing a semi-good job of player development within our program, because it's not just a constant of – it's not like it is college basketball where you're constantly getting new recruits in. But
most places.
Yeah. Well, you said it, not me.
We'll look into that Class 6 District 1 tournament in a few months.
But no, it is fun from the standpoint of, especially this year, I know I've said it a couple times, stylistically, we are going to look so different from where we were last year. We want to play more up-tempo. We're probably going to shoot a few more threes than what we did last year. Defensively, switchability that we will have of having at times maybe 4 guards out on the floor that we can kind of switch and not really lose anything there, I think will make us tough to handle. But yeah, it's a challenge, but I think that I'd be lying if I told you I didn't enjoy that challenge. I think I said it to you guys last year. We lost everybody off of Judd and Blaine's group. Yeah. And people kind of, how are you guys going to be it was competitive? And we won 21 games. Yeah. Now, I have no idea how many games we're going to win this year. I'm not going to put a number on it, but this group will be fun to watch. They will compete and they will battle. And folks that come out to the event center will be proud of this group at the end of the year. So I'm really looking forward to how this group gels. Because every year, I told somebody this the other night, if last year taught me nothing, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. But with Coach Toma at the helm and our staff working together, we will find what this group every year does best. We will make them competitive, and we will find a way to win games. Yeah. And I think that's all we can do as a staff. And like I said, I think the community and our fans will be really, really proud of this group.
And like you said, I mean, the development you guys do, whether how much credit you want to take for it or not, like it's very evident. And just looking at those guys that are graduating, I mean, Cole Deck came into his junior year after playing, 2 minutes a game maybe at the varsity level, and then jumps into the starting lineup and he averages 20 from, day one. I mean, the 3 big guys, Braden Thompson, Lee Ivy, Austin Criddle, I mean, those are 3 guys that essentially didn't play even the year beforehand at the varsity level, didn't get a ton of playing time, or at least a couple of them. And then, they jump right into all having really big, important moments throughout the season. Braden always bringing energy, always being very physical.
Yes.
Lee Ivy in the same way, especially, there are points in the year where his offense was really huge for you guys in a few matchups where he took advantage of little guys. And then Austin Criddle had moments where it was just like a revelation, like times you guys played Notre Dame, things like that, rebounding, defense, just showed up out of nowhere, it felt like at times. And Colton, the jump he made and confidence at the point position, taking over for Braden and, limiting the mistakes, hitting shots when you need to. Those were all things those guys, like I said, the year before that it happened, there was no evidence that it would. So, like you said, there's a lot of guys coming back who did have playing time, who did get moments, but there's guys, that played sparingly last year that, like you said, people will show up night one at the event center and be like, oh, this kid's hitting shots. Who's this kid? I've never heard of this name in my life. What is this kid doing?
No, I think one of the funniest ones that we got from, you look at a kid like Oliver Drum, who as a freshman, I think it was really good for him and that group as a whole because they had always played with John.
Right.
And so John going to play varsity, you take Colt, Floyd, Drew Respondick, and Oliver Drum, who either started or played a lot as eighth graders. They played on the freshman group without John, and it really helped their development because now their games.
Because he covers up for a lot of mistakes.
100%.
And you have a kid that big and that talented.
They had to learn some different things on their own, but the funniest one was I think it was this summer, but I think it was when we had the Rib City, and we hosted some of those games for Coach Allen in the Rib City, and Coach Burke had come to watch some games, and I think he was sitting next to maybe it was Toby Crowden, Britt's dad, and he looked at Toby and goes, who the heck is 23? And that's Oliver because he's running all over the place. He's an athlete and he competes. And it seems like every year we have 2 or 3 of those kids that the year before, maybe it was who they're playing behind. Maybe it was they weren't as developed enough where we needed them, but they get an opportunity. They've continued to work hard and good things happen for them. So there's a countless number of guys that we're really looking forward to seeing how they handle that situation this year.
Right, for sure. So, looking at some of those guys, I mean, you bring back 2 guys that started quite a bit last year in Jory and John. Jory's a guy who, you have expectations, obviously, just from, the last name, right? But, I didn't know. You've seen him, he played well in JV basketball when I saw him there. But, there's no real proof of concept at the varsity level until, this past year. Another guy had a late start with football. But it felt like once he kind of got his feet under him, he established himself as that number 2 option a lot of times behind Cole most nights. And also he did that while usually guarding the other team's best perimeter player. And I'm really optimistic about that, his future, like doing that. And can he be a guy that is – a number 1 option at guard and also guarding a lot of times, the Marquell Murrays of the world and people and Trayshawn Chandons, people like that.
Yeah. And he obviously has the ability to score it in big time spurts as we saw last year. He's never going to take a possession off defensively. We know what we're going to get out of him there. The thing about Jory, and I can say it with every kid that we have this year, he doesn't care if he scores.
Right.
He's going to make the right basketball play. Yeah, he's going to look to be aggressive, but he doesn't care if he scores. If he makes the right basketball play and Will hits a shot, he's just as happy for Will. And I think we can say that 1 through 15, 16 guys that will dress on varsity. But, I think Jory will take some more onus this year. He had a really good summer, whether it be getting to the rim. He's a kid that as a guard is really, really strong. Yeah. So maybe it's isolating him on the block against some smaller guards. He can do some good things there. But, he will definitely get the lion's share of top guards on the perimeter. But there's a few other guys that, like I talked about earlier with our switching, we may have less moments where it's just Jory has to guard this guy, where we can kind of go a few different places where if you get switched onto him, we're fine there.
Yeah, so. I mean, like you said, you're going to be pretty interchangeable, even 1 through 4, and John can move for 5. So
yes.
And then speaking of John, he's going to get a lot of attention as well. I mean, he also had an older brother who put up 1,000 points in his career and stood out and was a starter for 4 years. Just being another year older, having that experience of getting out there a lot. The one thing that obviously I anticipate is just the, consistency, showing assertiveness, showing aggression out there for him. I expect that to be like a big jump that he takes this year.
Yeah, and we've already seen it this summer, whether it be being a little bit more assertive offensively, being more vocal, both just as a communicator in daily practice or defensively calling things out. So we talk about this all the time. You don't have to be a senior to be a leader.
Right.
And John's definitely started to find his voice a little bit more. And, the world is completely wide open for him. Somebody asked me the other day what we were going to do necessarily point guard wise, and I do think that Walker is going to slide into that spot to start the year. But look, the difference between Clayton and John is when Clayton got a rebound, we were begging Cade or Braden to come back and get it so we could get our break started.
A lot of yelling outlet.
Yes, there will be no yelling outlet with John. If John gets a rebound, we're going.
Right.
And I think that makes our break even harder to defend with that key thing, because we have a lot of guys that'll play the 4 or 5 for us this year that if they get a rebound, we don't have to wait for that traditional guard to come back and get it. We can just attack right off of it. So, really looking forward to seeing how John continues to develop, because he's got a really good feel for the game. He can hit you at 3 different levels. He can post you up. He can handle it and shoot some mid range. He's being more consistent from the 3 as well. So he's got a multifaceted game and going to be very, very talented. The ceiling is endless for John.
Yeah, really high ceiling. I liked seeing what you guys did over the summer a little bit. There's a few games I saw where you played through him a lot at the high post, like running guys off. A lot of dribble handoff stuff, a lot of just ball screen action, things like that up there with him. Looked like we got a little baby Jokic film in the offseason for you guys.
Now I'm not telling you he's Jokic, but we have had that conversation.
He's Southeast Missouri Nikola Jokic.
He's Nicholas Jokic.
Maybe one of his brothers.
Yes, more Nick Jones as opposed to Nikola Jokic. But in all seriousness, we have told him, like, look, one of the things we do want to do is hit him with some of our offensive stuff at the high post, the top of the key, and he's got great vision. He's super unselfish. Yeah. So, and
that's huge. Like, when you have a center that has that kind of vision, that that's probably going to draw out his defender and leave these lanes for big, strong, wings and guards that you have like Oliver, like Jory to cut to the basket, things like that.
100%. And we have some guys, whether it be, like you said, Jory, Oliver, Will Thomas is one of the best off-the-ball movers that I probably coached. And they all know if they keep moving, John's going to find them if they're open. So that is going to make us very dangerous to defend when we get all of this, when we're running on full steam and on all cylinders. Right. So his unselfishness, his vision is something that's really special for a kid that's 15 years old who is 6'8".
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the growth. Like you said, only a sophomore, so it's only going to go up from here. And you mentioned a guy, Will Thomas. So I'm really interested to see, what he looks like this year, how he develops. He was a really good defender a year ago. Really physical, played hard, like you said. He did, gritty things for the team. Trying to find, a role playing next to a guy like Cole Deck, and also, you have a point guard next to you and Colton. So trying to find that role. And I felt like he did a lot of times. He played hard consistently. And, like I said, where does he fit into the, rotation, or what does that jump look like for him, offensively, or like with the ball in his hands, off ball, like you said? I guess he's doing really, really well off the ball as well, things like that.
Yeah. Will's a kid that just, for an example, as I guess that was his sophomore year, started for me on the JV and was my leading rebounder as a kid that at the time was probably 6 foot, 6'1". He is always around the basketball. He constantly gets his hands on loose balls, offensive rebounds that you don't think he should. Right. I think a lot of people call it out of area rebounds. Yeah. He will go and pursue the basketball. So just by doing little things like that, he gets noticed. But he really shot the ball extremely well this summer, has continued to shoot the ball at a high clip. And again, that comes down to this group has started to find a little bit of rhythm playing with each other. They know that a lot of attention is going to be paid to John or to Jory. And if they continue to move and find the right spots, they know the ball is going to find them.
Right.
And so Will has, again, shot the ball really well. We've tried to find mismatches for him, to whether it be maybe getting a post touch. But his constant movement off the basketball, I could see a realm where he gets 2 to 3 to 4 offensive buckets a night just by continuing to move. So I'm really excited to see him get this opportunity as a senior and his role to expand. You're not going to find a better kid than Will Thomas. I heard somebody say it the other night. If we had more Will Thomases in the world, we would be in really, really good shape. And Will's a great kid. I've really enjoyed coaching him for the past 3 years, and I'm really excited to see what he can do as a senior.
Yeah. And so another player you mentioned and whose role is obviously going to expand from just what you've already said is Walker Matthews. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who, once again, had a role, but it was much more limited, obviously, last year with the point guard, with a couple guys on the wing that can really score like Jory and Cole. He had moments, though, as well. He made big defensive plays that I can recall. He hit some shots. It felt like he was a willing shooter, which, like you said, last year's team was somewhat limited from three, which, may confuse some people with, having a guy like Cole who took and made so many. But really, there were not a lot of shooters on the court for you at times. So Walker was that guy who I felt like could do that. And from the bits I saw this summer, it seemed like that confidence has really grown too, where if somebody goes under the ball screen, shoot it. Which obviously you need that when somebody playing point guard for your team. You don't want people to be able to sag off you, sit off you, and throw a bunch of bodies around John, which they're obviously going to want to do. So I'm excited to see what's that growth looking like for him at the point guard position this year.
Well, Walker's whole thing is always going to be his motor, and when his motor is in the right spot, and his mindset is in that attack mindset, he's one of the quickest kids that you're going to see in this area from just baseline to baseline speed. So he can really do some nice things of getting downhill, making plays for others. If people go under ball screens, he has the capability to shoot it from deep. He's going to probably be, again, we talked about the on-the-ball defense. Jory, Blaine, will get a lot of those calls when it's more of a wing guy. But from right now, if it's a point guard, Walker go pick him up.
Gotcha.
And that's the mindset that Walker has shown here, especially really the last 2-3 weeks. And like I said, he's a kid that freshman, sophomore year kind of battled some injuries, I believe with ankles. And then last year, in and out of the rotation a little bit, got some reps with me at JV and saw his confidence grow, and then saw that grow again this summer. But he's a kid that, again, when his motor is right, he really makes us go because he gets the break started. He gets people the basketball out in the open floor. He can be an exciting piece for us this year. I'm anxious to see what he does because, again, I say this with all of our kids, but I truly mean it. Walker is a great kid who's been a lot of fun to coach, and he works extremely hard. He's got a great personality. So seeing what he does this year, when he's in the right spot and he's got the right mindset to attack, he's going to make us really dangerous.
Yeah, and then one more guy that kind of got a good amount of playing time on varsity, especially later in the year, is a Blaine Reagan that we mentioned. There's questions, will he, won't he, but considering or assuming he does, he's out here for you guys. He's one of the best athlete probably at Jackson High School right now. He can do just about anything you ask him to when it comes to the sports world. Great defender, great lateral quickness. It felt like in that district semifinal game that we ended up losing to Seckman, you guys threw him out there, just say, hey, go cause havoc, go get the ball. And him along with the other guys out there defending, reeled them all the way back in and got 2 overtime eventually. So super quick, super athletic, obviously. What does his development look like at the next step he needs to take?
Yeah, no, Blaine is, again, great kid, comes from a great family. His mom obviously just recently retired, even though I talked to her the other night at a football game. She's still she's still working, helping out the Jackson School District, but great family. He and his brother, Brock, who I've been fortunate enough to get to know the last several years. Mm-hmm. Blaine is, like you said, he's an athlete. Yeah. Ultra quick, great athlete. And he fits really, really well with how we want to play. Yeah. He's strong enough that if we switch things and he gets matched up on more of a post player 4-5 guy, he's strong enough to battle that kid. Yeah. He's going to be able to really, really bother kids on the perimeter. I mean, a prime example of that was we played Festus last year. Yeah. Drew Johnson, who was averaging upwards of 20 a game, he was until he met Jory and Blaine.
You guys had that kid in a torture chamber that night.
He was ultra frustrated, and that was all the credit to Jory and Blaine. And when you can that reminds me so much of that first year when we would start Grant on somebody, and they go, "Okay, Grant, you take a break. Steven, go get him."
Here's Steven Schneider, another college athlete.
Yeah, okay, Steven, you're tired. Okay, Braden Toma, go. Yep. Okay, Braden. Okay, Cade, here we go. Yep. Like, we had so many switchable parts that this group is very, very similar, where you have a Jory, you have Blaine, you have Will, you have Walker. Britt Crowden, a really, really good defender. John Ernst can hold his own on the perimeter as well, especially with his length. Oliver Drum is a kid as a sophomore who's quick twitch, really good athlete, can do some nice things for us defensively. We just got a bunch of dudes that want to compete, and Blaine definitely falls right into that. So I'll put it to you this way. If Blaine Reagan's watching this, we're looking forward to having him.
And so talking about some of those guys, you have been the JV coach this past season, last few years for Jackson, and you had some guys on this team this past year that are going to have to step up into varsity roles and going to be playing a lot of minutes on the varsity level. And some of those guys, we keep mentioning names over and over again. Oliver Drum, one kid I'm excited about. He's one of a Sportsplex kids for me for a long time. I started working there when it opened for the first 6 years or so, up until 2022. So Oliver's a kid that we had in there from the time he was like 6 years old at basketball camp. So I've seen Oliver since he was a little kid, always, like the same kid you described now, super athlete, just everywhere, plays with his hair on fire a lot of times. He was on teams with, a lot of guys you're accommodated with all those Notre Dame kids that were on the JV, all his age this past year. He was that guy who just, like you said, made plays all over the court. He's at loose balls, second chance points, things like that. I'm excited to see kind of his development. Only a sophomore again, part of a really good class of, young guys you've got in more of, like that tweener role where you don't have, where, you lose guys that were maybe a little bit bigger, more physical, like Ivy or Criddle or Thompson. I'm excited to see kind of where he fits in there in that lineup.
Yeah, he will be a guy that, again, he gets a rebound, Oliver can go. Yeah. He's got the capability to shoot it from three. We still need to get him where he's a little bit more consistent there. Yeah. But can handle it, can post at times, really good defender. He is probably a little bit better off the bounce than people maybe give him credit for. He's good at that top of the key of faking the handoff and going off of it. But a kid, again, you're going to get effort out of him. Yeah. We can coach all the other things. So he'll do some good things. Other guys that play JV for me, I think kids or people are going to be really surprised isn't the right word, but really impressed with Ty Forrest's development. Kid that I know we talked a little bit off air and then at the beginning of this where he just continued to develop. He is one of the best shooters that we have on this group, and we have a lot of guys that can shoot it, but Ty is a really knockdown shooter. He's gotten really good at getting into the lane, playing off two, being on balance. So he's had a big summer in preseason.
Yeah, Ty is one of those kids that I keep waiting for him to see, like, to have that jump, that next jump, to be kind of the guy that it feels like he can be. He is super skilled. Seems like, one on, like, I've seen him in some of your Jamboree this past year, where you guys would play smaller competition, things like that. You have him out there as kind of the main focal point option of the offense with a lot of younger guys. And I can't remember. I think it was like Greenville. He just goes out there and put up 20 in about a minute and a half on Greenville, just one-on-one against every kid on the court.
So we tried to
that one moment. I'm like, I need this Ty Forrest.
Trust me,
for 25 minutes a night.
That
please.
Conversation has been had with Ty, and again, great kid, wants to get better, always looking to improve his game. But the moment you were talking about, we played Greenville in our Jamboree, and I believe we scored 22 points in that quarter of that segment. Ty had 20.
He had all of them. Yeah,
so he again can shoot it really well. He's more athletic than people give him credit for. Got a little bounce to him, get to the rim strong, and he's been doing a really good job of staying on balance around the rim, not getting pushed off his spot. So I'm really, really pleased with his development and looking forward to him having a solid senior year for us.
Yeah, excited for him. Another guy who made a big impact on JV this past year, Britt Crowden. Is another one I'm excited to see make a jump. Give me what the varsity level of Britt Crowden looks like, where his entire life, he's a guy, once again, like I said, working the sportsplex. I've seen him on Jackson teams. He's always been a guy, if he catches it in the corner, he's going to kill you a lot of nights because he can just shoot the leather off the basketball a lot of times. Good size, good length for him as well. I'm sure that shooting is going to be obviously a big help plugged in on a team that has, guards that are willing passers and a big man that's a willing passer going to get double teams. But, is the rest of the game also they're rounding out with Britt, you feel like?
Yeah. Again, I think when Britt started to be a little bit more assertive at the end of the JV season last year, I joked around about this at our banquet. I talk to him all the time because he's a great kid. He just overthinks a lot, like most high school kids that have 1,000 thoughts going through their mind. But I said, you got to stop thinking so much and just shoot the basketball and let it play out. And it was like it clicked all of a sudden. I don't know whether it was me, whether it was his mom Heidi, whether it was his dad Toby, who got into his head, but it just clicked and he stopped thinking so much and just played.
Right.
We saw his aggressiveness from the offensive, and he shoots the ball so well. And then, like we talk about with him all the time, okay, you shoot the ball well, people start to dive at you. He's shown the ability this summer to be able to, as his strengths improve, get to the rim, finish there. He's a really smart defender. He's probably one of the better off-the-ball guys that we have. Yeah. Able to keep people in front. I can distinctively remember as a freshman, he goes in, we're losing to Zumwalt North, and he shuts a kid. He shuts a kid down in the second half of the JV game and helps us win that thing. So
also just Jackson Shock talking mad mess to everybody in the gym was also one of the funnier moments of my life.
Yep, I still have that game replayed in my head. But no, again, Britt's going to be able to defend. Like I said, his biggest thing that I've seen growth offensively and just his overall game is his assertiveness. He's one of our more vocal kids in practice right now, which I would have never guessed as a freshman. But he's really started to find his voice, and again, he's a very coachable kid. I'm excited to see the growth because he's going to have an opportunity, what he does with it, and he'll be a big cog for us this year.
Yeah, so I'll give you the ability to just open up about any other guys. You had a ton of guys on the JV this past year that played various roles. Who are guys that have maybe been pushing people this summer, or maybe guys that they might be on the JV again this year, but they've made a big impact and they feels like that, the light's kind of coming on a little bit, or whatever it might be. Guys that have grown, gotten stronger, gotten more talented, whatever. Who are some other names, I guess, to look forward to?
So there's a group. I mean, we have, first off, there's a group of some freshman guards that I, again, don't know that it'll happen necessarily this year, but they can all shoot it. They all compete defensively. We need to get them a little bit better in their positioning defensively, but that group, if not this year, will be able to help us as sophomores.
Right.
But then the group, the guys that played some JV for me last year, whether it be Ryan Criddle, who is Austin's younger brother. He's an ultra strong guard. He's not going to back down from people. He's physical defensively, offensively. He's done some nice things for us, could get some run at different points as one of our guards. Drew Respondic, who is a sophomore kid who is not shy from the three-point line, really good shooter, has really done a good job in his development of making better decisions, hitting guys offensively, but ultra unselfish, great competitor. And then some guys that are a little undersized for their position maybe, but bring two different things to the table in both juniors, Colin Shanley and Peyton Keller. So Colin is, I would say, between 6'1"-ish to 6'2", really good athlete, competes, goes to the board. He's a great decision maker from kind of that point forward spot of our offense. And then you've got Peyton Keller, who is a kid who, again, didn't make the team as an 8th grader, but comes out as a freshman and has continued to get get better. Shoots the ball really well for his size, kind of a pick and pop guy. Another one who is a good decision maker from that point forward spot. So those four could, at different points, all see some minutes for us on the varsity level. And, again, it shows our development that these guys continue to work in the offseason and have a chance to be a viable option for us in a varsity rotation.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess, like you said, kind of the this team is going to have a lot of new faces. What, your identity since you and Coach Toma and your staff has kind of been in place here, you've had super talented guys offensively, different styles of offense too, with, you have a Clayton Ernst that just bullies people inside. Or you've had Blaine, Cole, who are, similar skill set wise in some ways, killers on the outside, can shoot, can get in the mid range, score around the rim, things like that. So this team, if they're going to be successful, obviously it's always been the defense. Yep. So what things is this team going to have to do well if you are going to see, pushing in districts, or if you're going to be winning those 20 games again this year? What's this team look like if they do that?
Well, first and foremost is always going to be on the defensive side of it, because I said last year when we came on and talked, we went to the Final Four, not scoring 40 points until we got to the Final Four in the state, from the district semis on to the Final Four. We did not score 40 points until we got to the state semifinals.
Yep.
So our groups are going to be able to defend.
Gene Hackman's looking down, smiling on you.
Hey,
right now.
we're going. I don't know that we won't go 5 passes before a shot, but but Norman Dale would be proud of our practices. Will not be for their enjoyment. I'll put it to you that way. But no, we're going to be able to defend. I think it's going to look a little different than what it has maybe the last year or so, where we're going to have more guards. We're going to try to – I don't think that we will press folks for 32 minutes, but we'll be able to throw it on for longer stretches to try to get the tempo in our favor. Like we said, offensively, we've really been more of a set-oriented team here the last probably 2 or 3 years.
Hey, you guys have run more elevator screens to the top of the three-point arc for cold deck than I think I've seen my entire life in the high school basketball level.
Hey, here's the deal. Again, like I said, basketball coaches maybe aren't as smart as they lead on, but if I got a kid who's all state, I'm going to keep running elevator
shoot
screens.
He's 6'6", I can handle and get to the rim in one step like that.
Well, hey, the Webster game. I don't want to revisit the ending.
I don't want to revisit
but we had a set that we probably ran 5 or 6 times in the second half and got exactly what we wanted every time. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But no, we will be more free-flowing this year. Not that we won't have sets that we will go to, but this group does a really good job of making reads out of this offense And so we will be more free-flowing, read and react based off how the defense is guarding us, whether they're going under, whether they're switching, whether they're maybe blitzing or doubling a ball screen. So we'll be able to just have to, quote unquote, we won't have to set it up as much. It's just free flow and attack, and I think that makes us difficult to scout and difficult to guard. But at the end of the day, this group shares the basketball really well. Those that saw us play this summer, I think one thing I heard more than anything is we were so unselfish. We were fun to watch. We moved the basketball. And at the end of the day, if we do that, we're simple, we defend, and we compete, we'll put ourselves in position to win basketball games.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see this team. I'm excited to see, every iteration, like you said, for those of us who aren't in every practice, things like that. It's fun. It's scary. You're like, oh, are they going to be good? But, like you said, you guys have an identity at the end of the day, which is we're going to get down and guard. And if we have to win 38-37 every game in the playoffs, we will, and we'll go to the Final Four and enjoy it just as much as we scored 90 points.
100%, because at the end of the day, they don't put an asterisk next to it if you win by.
Yeah. They don't put the point total on the bottom of the banner.
They do not. That is for sure.
So the last thing I want to do, which I know, a part of your role has, always been you're a guy who watches a lot of film.
Yes, sir.
And you have a lot of knowledge of people in the area, teams all around. You've been in the area now for quite a while, coaching at different levels. So I want to look around kind of the SEMO conference because there is a little bit of a mystery. So I wanted to kind of get it from, your perspective. There's a lot of teams. The SEMO conference tournaments early in this year, it's always a bit of a wild card type tournament. You can get 4 seeds and 5 seeds in the tournament thing, or the championship. And this year is another, kind of a wide open year. Sykeston last year, it kind of felt like they are a cloud looming over with a couple of kids going to SEMO, 3 more kids playing college basketball, something like that. So this year, a lot of people are moving on. A lot of people are, replacing a lot of starters like you guys. So just kind of look around the conference. You can go team by team if you want, like at Cape Central, for example. They're another team. They're losing their backcourt. They bring back some talented guys on the front court. We mentioned Sykes, and they lose all 5 of their starters as well. Who are some of these teams that you've seen, or what are you kind of expecting out of, all the teams in the area here in the SEMO conference?
So yeah, obviously, I mean, you go Cape. Obviously, Coach Frazier is going to have those guys ready to go. It'll be year 2 for him, kind of getting his mentality more imprinted on those guys. And I think you saw towards the end of last year, even with some of the injuries or who was or wasn't there, it didn't matter. They were going to go out and compete, and that comes from Lamont. Lamont is, again, when you are coached by Norm Stewart in college, your teams are going to compete.
Oh, yeah.
And this group will be no different. Obviously, Tyshandre will be back for them as a senior. Goliath as a junior, I believe, will be back. And then Antonio Sims also. All 3 of those guys are good athletes, can defend. So they'll be a tough out no matter who plays them. Obviously, who they can piece together around those guys, with obviously losing Mateo and the other Marquet Mills. I always thought like Mateo was the unsung hero of that group.
I mean, he could guard any perimeter player and shut them down. I mean, we talked about, I think this past year, I talked about it in the post game with you when we did it. I mean, he gave Cole the hardest challenge of any player he faced all year. And he faced guys that are going to Mizzou and things like that.
And I love Teo's a great kid. He's known Coach Toma for a long time with AAU and everything, and he was always a kid that was really good to talk to, even though we were rivals. Always talked to him before games, after games. Great kid. Happy for him. He's playing at Arkansas State, Newport now for Coach Logan Nutt. Yeah. So happy for him. But, yeah, you lose a kid like Teo, I don't think that goes unnoticed by coaches in the area. So who finds that kind of defensive stalwart for them could be interesting. Sims has that capability. But like I said, they'll be a tough out. Then you go Sykeston. They bring back Murray.
Right.
They bring back Kobe Thomas. This will be interesting with Kobe because Kobe's that kid that seems like he's been in high school for 8 years.
Yeah.
And
is he a senior this
yes,
year?
He is a senior.
I was like, I think he's even a junior.
Trust me, Kobe
I was like,
is
yeah,
a senior.
And I was like, I like having your perspective on these guys too, because you've coached them at the JV level, so you've seen these guys forever.
So Kobe's obviously always been very, very talented. He's just always played around a lot of other really good basketball players. So what he does this year, where he's kind of more the focal point, and obviously when your head coach is Greg Hollifield, you're never going to be out of any games.
Right.
So when they name a basketball floor after you, that
generally means, still have quite a few years left in you.
Yeah, that generally means you're good at your job.
Yeah.
So obviously Sykeston will be solid. Notre Dame is going to be interesting just because they legitimately lost everybody.
It's 10 seniors.
Yeah. So and Coach Brinkmeyer is a really, really good coach. Coach Rubel, Johnson over there at Notre Dame, they're going to do a good job. Their kids are going to compete. That matchup zone is always tough to go against no matter what's going on. So they will find ways. I'm sure folks are writing them off right now with as much as they lost, but they will find ways to be in games and be competitive.
Yeah, that's the group of kids like I talked about earlier that I've seen since they were 5 with Oliver, all those guys that are now only going to be sophomores. I know you those are the kids you coached against last year, and they're going to be good. I mean, I don't know what the difference is going to be from, how you're obviously going to have a drop off in experience, and you are losing Brett Dohan, who had more post moves than anybody in the world, and you're losing Colton Johnson, who is their all-time leader in 3-pointers made in a career game, things like that. So those I think that can make them more dangerous in a way of where, you have that mystery of I don't know, we don't know how to defend these guys necessarily at the moment. I'm interested to see how good they are.
That young group,
they're very tough. They have a lot of just skilled guys that all kind of do the same thing.
And they played in Coach Brinkmeyer's system now for a couple years. They're ultra competitive. They can seemingly all of them can either shoot it, or they're really, really strong from the post-up game and how Coach Brink wants to play. So they're going to be a tough out, and they'll be interesting. Bluff's always interesting because they always seem like they have some really good athletes.
Yeah, they have a pretty consistent identity, it seems like. They're always very physical as well.
Obviously, they lost the older Durden, but they bring back Sammy Durden, the younger brother, who was one of their best, if not the best, rebounder.
Yeah, super physical kid.
They bring back Dallas Williams, who has never met a jump shot that he didn't like.
Yeah, kid can get hot.
And Dallas is so frustrating from a standpoint of, we talk about tendencies, we talk about how to guard a kid. He was one of the, what I would call, bad shot makers that we have in the area. Because you would have him defended well, and he would just jump up and make a shot.
Yeah, like you said, he can start a game 0 for 6 from 3, but then hit 4 in a row, and it's just and like you said, no confidence ever is gone.
You have a kid, Markel Hurd, who lengthy athlete, 6'5", 6'6", is going to be a junior. He'll probably see a substantial increase in touches, shots this year. And then they had some kids on the JV with some length.
They have one kid that's rather tall.
Yeah, his name's Justin Briscoe. He's probably 6'8", 6'9", real long, athletic. Has decent touch up to about 15, so he'll be a good piece. And then again, Coach Durden's been doing this a really long time. He knows how to get his kids to play hard, and so they'll be a tough out. Then you go to Dexter. They may bring back more than anybody.
Yeah, I think they only lose, one senior.
Yeah, Tucker Temples, they lost. But they bring back Turnbow. They bring back Sepulveda.
That's a lot of that's a team with just physical guards.
Yes.
Just big, strong kids.
Physical guards that know how Coach Allen wants to play. Right. They do not care how methodical they are.
They also part of that. Yeah, they don't. You don't get extra credit for beauty points.
So they'll be a tough out again because of their experience and how they play, and it's just unique style. And of course, we go down this list: Lamont Frazier, Greg Hollifield, Jeremy Brinkmeyer. You got Coach Durden. Yeah. You've got Chad Allen. Then you go Charleston. Obviously they lost some big with Deshaun and then Clark, but they bring back Shandon, who
that's a team that sneaky could be, like you said, if everything comes together, it could maybe be like a 1 seed going into the SEMO conference tournament, or be one of the best teams in the SEMO conference tournament.
Because they have so many guards that can shoot it. That was one of the better. Charleston's always had really good athletes.
Yeah.
But that was one of the better teams that I can remember seeing Charleston, that they could just flat out shoot it from all over the place, whether it be Shandon, DK Williams, who coming back as a sophomore has decent touch from the perimeter. No, obviously he'll be getting better, and they have so many of those guards to play around. And with Jamarcus, they're going to play extremely hard. Right. They're going to be physical. They're going to pressure you.
And bringing back that many people, like you said, more experience. Yes. I mean, because like a lot of those guys were young. Shandon's been playing since he was a freshman, and DK Williams was a freshman last year. So
then you go New Madrid. Obviously, they lost their two bigs in Marvion and Raymond. That group that they had took it on the chin a little bit last year.
Yep.
Where they had always really been so successful at the junior high level. Yeah. They took some growing pains as freshmen, and I think they'll probably see some dividends there. Sure. They're ultra well coached.
Yeah.
Their head coach, and I, for the life of me, cannot.
Coach Jenkins,
yes. Don. Great guy. Again, he learned from guy that's probably a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And Coach McFerrin, and has done, I mean, look, his first year they win a state title.
Right.
And
pretty good start.
Yes. So they will be well prepared and ready to roll. And then obviously with Kennett, they were kind of a 2-horse team last year with
I'm happy to never see Dyson Watson again.
That kid could flat go. But no, and look, Coach McBroom in his first year with that program, I know that he would have liked a little bit more success than what they had, but he had them in so many different games, whether it was youth that gave it away or a team just making a few more shots. But, you lose Dyson Watson, you lose Hayden Gilmore, who could shoot it as well, how they continue to maybe build with their youth there. But, again, We found that lesson out last year where we go down to Kennett and it's a flat out dogfight the entire game.
No, that was
so there are absolutely no off nights in the SEMO conference at all.
And then we don't have to get into anything specific, but the rest of the schedule very tough again this year. Like it's the same schedule but flipped. But every team has guys. Farmington's another one that loses. You're going to see them a couple times.
Yes.
Also, can we get Farmington in the SEMO conference? Can we make it 10 teams? Because I never want to have to explain to anybody when they're like, so wait, who's playing who on the second day of the SEMO conference tournament? I'm like, I don't know.
I would,
Can we get a 10th team? I don't care who it is. Farmington makes sense. Farmington, they play Cape every year. They play us. They play Sykeston every year. They play everybody.
No, but Farmington, I would love to have them in the SEMO conference. Coach Kitchen, if you can look into that.
Yeah.
But no, they lost their two best kids from last year in Shoppert and Roth, who are both playing college basketball. But
they got another Shoppert.
Yes, they have another Shoppert. Tatum Tinsley is going to be a kid that I know he's more known for his work on the gridiron, but we saw him this summer, ultra strong. Looked like he improved his ability to shoot it. So Coach Callahan will have them ready to go. Obviously, people are going to eye the Webster Groves game at Webster Groves. It'd be interesting to see what they look like.
I've never been more tired of a team than Webster Groves. I told you this when we did this in the winter.
Yep.
And then there's never been a harder post-game conversation between the two of us in my life. That was the hardest just post-game to do ever. I was just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to talk anymore. This is killing me. I told you then, I was like, I have lived through a million painful Webster Groves losses. It's killing me.
They will look a little different than last year. Obviously Simpson leaves and goes to prep school, but they also bring in another kid who we saw last year, Jalen Woods, who played at St. Charles Lutheran last year, who's their leading scorer. He averaged 20 a game as a sophomore. He will be teamed up with Scotty and Quincy Williams.
And Scotty Atkinson, pretty good at basketball.
Yes, Scotty Atkinson's okay.
He's all right.
But, God, Yeah, so they'll be a tough out again, but you just look throughout our schedule. There's not any off nights.
No.
So like I said, night in and night out, I'm looking forward to seeing how this group steps up to the challenge. And like I said, I don't know how many games we're going to win. I don't know what it's always going to look like, but I can guarantee you people will be happy with the amount of compete in this group, how unselfish we are, and just the overall energy that we play with on a night in and night in basis. And like I said, that stems from Coach Toma all the way down throughout our staff to the kind of kids that we have, how they were raised. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing this group on the floor.
Yeah, for sure. So, only 8 home games. I always implore people, get out, go see the games. When the event center is full, it's one of the most fun places.
Magical.
When you get a big time atmosphere,
really
like the Webster Groves game, even though it didn't go our way. Games like all the rivalry games, Cape, Notre Dame, or the Charleston game on senior night. When you have that environment, it's so much more fun. So, like you said, it's going to be a fun team to watch. It's always you guys win a lot of ball games. I know you're not going to make any promises on that, but it's a fun team. You guys play a pretty good home slate as far as the teams you are going to see. Late in the year, you're going to have a Ladue, Caruthersville with, some of the best football players in Southeast Missouri, New Madrid, Sykeston, and then finish with Lutheran St. Charles. It's going to be a good home slate. Let's get it out there. Let's get the stadium filled up.
Yeah, we look, from myself, Coach Toma, we truly appreciate our community. And it is not lost on us that you could do a lot of other things with a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday night. But it means a lot to us. It means a lot to our kids to see that event center packed, the student section. And we plan on giving you guys a product that you are very, very proud of. So come out to the event center, see this group. They're extremely hardworking and just a great group of kids. So we need you out there in red and black, and we look forward to seeing you this year.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, thank you for your time as always, and we'll, I'll see you for some post-game interviews.
Anytime you need me, Caleb. I appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys do for Jackson and in our area, and thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. As always, like, subscribe, tell a friend, and like Coach said, in a couple months, get out there, go watch some basketball, stay warm, get into the event center, and root on a good basketball team.
Go Indians.
Thank you, sir.